When John dies, I am going to find a place to make totally, extremely accessible for families like us. So my name is Leslie Gafford, and I am a clinical supervisor for student health at the University of South Alabama in Mobile. In my spare time, nights and weekends, I am working on this home here up in Andalusia. He was diagnosed in May of 19.
When my mom told me that he most likely had ALS, I remember having a conversation with a friend, and I remember thinking, this is the day that I'm realizing that my dad is going to die. It's a life-altering moment.
I immediately went into, oh my gosh, I'm gonna be a widow and I'm only 54 years old. How do I, what do I do first? And then going back to the neurologist the second time, he said, this is a slow process. He said it's 2 to 5 years from diagnosis. So John never traveled much as a child. He had never been to Las Vegas. He'd never been to the Grand Canyon. We were able to, after he was diagnosed, we did a bus tour from Vegas. It was an all-day thing. But when we got on the bus and everybody was talking about their day and what they saw and how fun it was, he was crying and he could not stop crying. I couldn't make him. And it just was overwhelming for him that, here he is finally seeing some of these things that he wanted to see, but he knows he's dying. The trouble that I ran into, I was looking for a place that we could take a family vacation. You can just see all of the different barriers between the thresholds and the steps and the door widths. Plus, it's hard to travel with all that equipment. I had to give up and tell John that we couldn't go anywhere. I couldn't find a place that I knew that neither one of us would be hurt. And that was hard for me. It's hard to sit there and know that at some point he's going to die. But the 2 to 5 years was not promised. And it became apparent fairly fast that his was going faster. He actually died 2 weeks before his 2 years from his diagnosis. And I was just devastated that I couldn't create a vacation for the rest of us. And it came to me literally one night. I was just mad and I was sad, and it had been a bad day around the house, and this thought just came to me and said, I don't have to find a place, I need to make one. And I said to myself, I'm like, that's not going to work for John, but I'm going to do something to change this narrative of being trapped in your space because you have a diagnosis like ALS. But 2 weeks after he died, I pulled up on his iPad, Calm Waterfront property in Alabama, and the first house that came up was this one. And I just looked at it and I was like, oh my gosh, that's beautiful. And I looked at it and it had been on the market for 230 something days. And I looked at where this was and I'm just like, oh my gosh, this is on a lake. It's only 2 hours north of Mobile. That's doable. I can get there to do what I need to do, and it's pleasant. So it really was the perfect location, and somehow it had been saved for me. We were trying to figure out a name and I said, that's JohnBoys Place. He would have loved to be here. I'm a WindChime maniac. I've got wind chimes here, I've got wind chimes at home, and like if you kept giving me wind chimes, I would just find another place to hang them. I don't care how noisy it is. And I was trying to figure out a name for the businesses, and WindChime Wishes in my mind was like make a wish. This is not the kind of wish that a lot of ALS families are thinking of. In Las Vegas, where we were staying, they had a restaurant called Uno Mas. And I said, you know what, that's it, one more. My goal is to just give one more opportunity for people that are suffering, to make memories, to get away, to do normal stuff. So I know that there are at least as many people out there who don't have regular vacation plans or the money to do it. It's not cheap anymore. If you need it, but you can't afford it, if somebody wants to nominate you for this, then we're gonna give it to you. And that's where the Hope sponsors come in. Patient, all they have to worry about, and the caregiver, is getting here, and then everything's designed for safety and relaxation for everybody. It's the difference in ALS versus some other diseases. The fact that there's no cure, that there's no hope, those families and those patients, they deserve to have a little bit of hope.